Welcome back, and joining me for a closer look at what's played out on the market scene today is Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers. Thank you so much for your time, Makwe. How quickly things changed, because my question that I had crafted earlier was, why our markets, the equity and the currency markets, are holding up so well, even though we have this increased risk of the tariff landscape. But actually, we are seeing the JSE dipping into the red slightly today, and the rand actually that was holding up nicely at around the 17 rand 17 cents against the US dollar, now just over 17 rand 80. Is there more risk in the market at this point, and actually what can you pinpoint that to exactly?
You are right. We managed to take that, within our strides. And because we were expecting that, yes, Donald Trump, as he used to do, that he will say something, then backtrack, and also compared to the performance that we've seen 90 days back when he was announcing all these things. What is the Liberation Day? The declines that we've seen. But since April, we've seen markets recovering because people expected that, the guy will definitely extend. And yes, yesterday he didn't disappoint. He did extend, the deadline, what was supposed to be due tomorrow to the 1st August. But I think later in the session, when we got that comment that he said, this time around, the 1st of August, this is it. And remember, overnight, yesterday, the rand, fell as much as 1.7%, leading the declines among emerging market currencies, but managed to recover some of that, and all because the guy, as he gave out those love letters, he did leave the door open for more talks. But I think the latest comment that we've seen later in the session, that this is it, the 1st of August, those payments have to start coming through, and we'll continue to look at what is going to be happening with the major trading partners. Yes, for us, he's the second biggest trading partner, but we're looking at what is going to be happening with the likes of the European Union, China. Will the guys be able to reach a deal, within the specific time? And especially after he said when it comes to Japan, they'll be getting their 25% come the 1st of August. So I think we are caught in those two things, and hence maybe the better part of the sessions, we're not doing that bad, but it's only now later in the session. We'll see how it goes tomorrow morning.
It's actually quite interesting also the kind of divergences that we're seeing in the resource sector, because the gold miners and the platinum miners had actually been leading over the last few weeks and even earlier this morning, but we're seeing now those in the red. We have Anglo Gold down 4%, Sibanye Stillwater 5%, Valterra losing 3%. Anything specific? Because I would expect with more risk that the gold counters would actually be thriving.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the gold price itself not doing that great because of the yields are now continuing to be elevated, and all because maybe we can blame the job numbers that we got last week, Thursday, seeing very strong job numbers that itself reduced our bets that will get interest rate cuts, and we all know that higher interest rates, the opportunity cost of holding gold continues to go up. And I think at some point, gold was down 1%, platinum as well was down. So maybe that is why we are seeing our gold stocks and our platinum stocks no longer doing that great today, later in the day. But anyway, those are the kind of shares that have been driving the markets, helping us to reach all-time highs.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into, I think, the only really interesting company news that came out of the JSE today. It is so dry, Makwe, as I guess we're heading to earnings season. Vodacom updating the market this afternoon on its 30% acquisition of Massive, of course, that tied to CIVH of Remgro. The parties, they have reached an agreement with the Competition Commission on conditions that could make the Competition Commission favor the deal. Is this deal finally going through?
I think it is. Remember, even the minister himself was prepared to appeal, appealing against one of his agencies. But the guys, as they're saying, they've managed to sort out the issues, and mainly it was competition issues. But do we really need this deal? I think we do, given the amount of money the guys are prepared to spend on the infrastructure, and more importantly, to make sure that people in rural areas continue to have access, and not just any access, but more reliable and kind of speed, downloading. And I think it's happening at a time where we know that you've got companies, coming from the US who wants to offer us that. So allow local companies to be able to spend the necessary money. I mean, they're talking billions and billions, that they're prepared to spend. And we all know that among all these guys, the fight is just about the coverage, how many kilometers we are able to cover. So if you can acquire someone to be able, to expand your coverage, why not?
We'll talk about acquisitions and being prepared to spend. What are you spending your money on today, Makwe? Your stock pick?
I think I'll go for Invicta. I mean, the guys as were talking when they announced the final year results, they're sitting with cash of almost 800 million. Their market value is around 3 billion. Their dividend yield is not too bad, 3.3, and they paid us a dividend of 10%. Profits went up by almost 14%. Revenues were up. And more importantly, they redeemed all the preference shares, another long-term unlocking of shareholder value, and they also repurchased, over 157 million or so of ordinary shares, also another way to reward us as long-term shareholders.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your insights today, Makwe. Much appreciated. That was Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers.